Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Exit the Maze podcast with Dr. Donna Marks, and I'm your co-host Scott Jones. And I swear Donna was there just a moment ago.
Sorry.
There she
There was
is.
a beeping, and I didn't want it going on the whole show.
I had the same thing. My phone went off while the intro was happening, but luckily it was right there. I think everybody's trying to reach us at the same time, Donna.
Right.
Well, first of all, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent. Things are busy and good here. And still trying to be creative with the diet. I'm into I'm looking to start making Taiwanese food. So I'm working on a dom kha soup, which is a coconut milk soup.
I've had it. It's wonderful.
Yeah, but I want to make it myself. So
fantastic.
Like I said, those little challenges keep me kind of on the right path right now. So it's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even fix my hair before the show or anything. Look at me. I'm a mess.
Well, I'm in my workout clothes because, I thought we were talking about relationships today, and relationships change. And it's okay to show up in your real self sometimes, Well, not that the other self isn't real. I didn't mean it like that, but get real. And sometimes things aren't perfect.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, sometimes you have to kind of like let the dressing stuff go and just be exposed. And there's a lot of people. We're going to get to our main topic in a minute, but I like where you went with this, Donna, because there's a lot of people that can't I've got to look a certain way before I step outside my door, and I've got to always be like this person. But if you have to work that hard to make that person happen every day, is that really who you are?
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of problems with that. It's nice to want to look your best, and I certainly try to, but sometimes you just have to put priorities in order, and being on time is more important than looking your best, or just being real. And part of being real is sometimes you're shabby, sometimes you don't do your hair, and sometimes you just throw on the quickest thing. Sometimes you didn't have enough time in between because of unexpected, whatever.
Yeah.
It feels better to just be more relaxed. So.
I agree. And if you become comfortable with that, that discomfort that you feel putting the makeup on or putting the shirt or the clothes on or driving the fancy car, none of that's going to change how you really feel about yourself unless you feel okay without that stuff, right?
Exactly.
So when it comes to relationships, that's the person you want to get to know.
Right.
But that's not the person we get to know. Think about it. When you've started dating your husband, I'm sure that every time you went out, you were trying your best to put on everything, and he was sure. Well, guys do it. We try it, but we don't do it as well as women do, obviously, because most guys can't dress well. But everybody puts on that kind of like that facade when they first get together, and sometimes it's hard.
Best look, personality, and attire.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because you always want to make a good first impression and stuff. But sometimes it's hard to back down from that into, all right, now you're going to see me on the sofa eating peanut butter right out of the jar with a spoon in my sweats and my hair just like thrown in the air. Now you're going to see that. And sometimes people don't get to that point.
Right.
So, and it's really important when we're talking about things like recovery, you have to be comfortable with yourself in all assets of who you are. And
absolutely.
If there's things you don't like,
if somebody doesn't like that, then they're not really the right one for you. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people want to be perfect all the time, so let them. No right or wrong to it.
Let's also point out, you're saying you just got done working out.
No, I'm getting ready to.
Oh, you're getting ready to work out. Okay, you're getting ready to work out. But why are you working out?
Right, because I want to take care of my physical well-being. I'm workout. I go to Orange Theory twice. I go to Pilates once a week, and then I try to walk and do it. And house cleaning counts as one workout. I try to do like 5 times a week of something that because I function better. I have more energy. I'm healthier. It keeps me from getting sick. It keeps me from being on a bunch of medication, not on any medication other than vitamins. And so, I do it because I love myself. It's part of one of my 100+ ways of self-love is to take that time to exert the effort into working out so that my body functions better. And my
I'm
mind,
gl-
too, for that matter.
I'm
And
glad we're talking about
invest
this.
the energy in the physical workouts. I'm more conscious of what I'm putting in my body too, because there's no point in doing a hardcore workout and then throwing it all away with, the wrong food. So
I just combine them both. I figure that kind of flat surface on the treadmill, that's for the Doritos and the Diet Coke. And I just put them up there and eat. Well, no, I'm kidding. Um,
not
but I've
anymore
thought about
either.
it. But I've thought about it. But there is a big difference
That would
between.
be a good lesson because like one Dorito, when you see how far you have to do on the treadmill for one Dorito, it makes you more mindful.
Oh yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. I mean, it's like you could eat one bite of food and have 600 calories in you. One bite of the wrong food, you could have 600 calories in you, and to burn off 600 calories, it's almost like running a marathon, for crying out loud. So it's not easy to
It's a
keep that
full
in
hour
balance.
of running 6 miles an hour, which is a lot of work. I used to
Wow.
do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a difference though. And like I said, we're going to get to our main topic, which is about
Well, it
gratitude
all
and
ties
stuff.
together.
But it all ties together. But this is something, because I'm starting to get more physically in tune with my body, and I want to lose weight, not because of what other people think of me, but because I don't. And it's not because I look at myself and I don't like myself. I just know that this is not my comfort zone. This is not what I'm comfortable in.
Well, it's not who you
Everybody
are.
kind of has a different comfort level. If
Right.
you're trying to be like, I know you're not working out so you could look like Christy Brinkley or a supermodel, or I probably dated myself using her as a supermodel. I don't know any supermodels now. I almost said Twiggy. Uh, you're not doing it to look like someone else. You're doing it because you want to look the best for you, for your comfort, right?
Right. Right. I
Now,
want to feel the best that I can feel.
and feel the best,
Mhm.
and when you feel good, you look good to yourself. And when you look good to yourself, you feel good with yourself. And it's all a relationship thing, but it's about finding my perfect weight is not the same as somebody else's perfect weight for me, the one that
Well,
I
knowing
feel
I'm
best at.
extra, I'm supposed to weigh a certain amount for my frame
Yeah.
and skeleton, and structure and all that. I'm within a range. There's a reasonable
Yeah.
range for my maximum physical health. That's part of it, the weight. The other part is the nutrition. Because if I'm, living off of lettuce, my bones and all aren't going to be, as strong as they can be. So, but for the weight range, that is not me to have on an extra 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. That is not me.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm hiding out in there.
Yeah.
I'm going for the wrong sources of comfort. So, to be able to peel off, just like peeling off the makeup and the clothes, the fancy clothes and the look, same thing. Peeling off that weight is revealing my authentic self to the world.
Now, you've already shared with us that at one point you became obsessive about exercise. You shared
Well,
that
that
with
was
us
when I
before.
quit smoking.
But yes, but once an obsession starts, now now you're still exercising, but what is the change in the perspective that takes it from obsessive to a healthy activity? What is that shift in perspective?
Well, it's like any addiction, you have balance and there's no negative consequences. So, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that the negative consequences when I was doing such extreme exercise because they didn't happen yet. Although I can name one. When I first went from just walking to running, and then my friend and I decided, oh, we're running like 5 miles. Why don't we sign up for the leukemia fundraiser and do the marathon in Disney? And after I started that, I was running so much for the first couple weeks. One morning, I couldn't get out of bed. So that was definitely a negative consequence and an addictive consequence. So I had to stop running for 2 weeks and then resume again. But it's so easy to feel good and then just do too much of whatever it is you're enjoying. And that was a good example of it.
Right, right. Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm sure there's a consequence when you do things like that, where you lose time with family and things like that because you become almost so obsessed that it's like, no, I can't go with you guys. I got to go exercise and those kind of things.
Yeah, that didn't happen because we were going early in the morning, real early when
Oh, you were one of those people,
yeah, yeah.
like
Well,
five
that's when the
o'clock in the morning.
trainings
You're at
were.
the gym.
The trainings were in the morning, and then my friend and I would do it. At the time, I was single, so it wasn't taking
Okay,
time away from
but
anybody.
but it happens for other people that way. It does
Yeah,
happen where you
no,
see
true.
that.
There are people who are, they also get addicted to our bodies, which that's a really bad addiction. Where people are constantly looking in the mirror and they see a wrinkle or they see a fat cell or they see a little bump here or something, and they're that then they're in the doctor's offices and spending way too much money on trying to be perfect, which you're always going to find something wrong, and there's a never ending
And
thing.
that's not just narcissism when they're constantly checking themselves out. It goes beyond that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it does
okay.
into an addiction to your body.
Wow.
That's where you get into that body dysmorphic dysfunction and things like that.
There's
And
just
when
so
people
many.
lose sight of reality, they start to look like mannequins, distorted mannequins instead of human beings, which is another negative consequence.
Well, I guess we could point to probably one of the most famous examples of that was Michael Jackson, which we never examined him, and we haven't talked. I don't know if you talked to him. I never
I
talked to him.
did. He came into my store when I owned an ice cream parlor.
Get out of
Yes,
here,
I sat down
really?
and spoke with him. It was frightening to see somebody so incredibly gifted. There's no words to describe his talent. I don't think it's in the vocabulary.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
his nose was literally attached with a little hook on each side.
Wow, that's horrifying.
It was so sad.
Now, does that fall under a mental disorder or does that fall under an addiction? Just in your opinion, obviously we don't know all of the ins and outs, but what do you think
Well, I
that?
think he had a combination of both.
Okay.
He was that young superstar, and then he had a really difficult time with getting older. Very
He,
difficult time when he didn't need to. I mean, look at the people like the Rolling Stones pushing in their 70s, pushing 80. They're just doing their thing, But that's where I do think there was some mental issues going on as well.
yeah, yeah, and then of course, obviously, I mean, dying at the hands of pills, and so addiction took him one way or another. But I'm not even sure, even without the pills, because of the things he was doing to his body, I don't think he was healthy enough to live a long time anyway. That kind of obsession over whatever he was trying to become. I mean, now he didn't see what we see when we look at him, did he, Donna?
No.
What did he see?
Well, he wasn't focusing on his being. He was focusing on, like I was talking about earlier, there's a wrinkle or the nose is a little bit too big still, or, my skin isn't quite the color I want it to be. So we'll keep, doing treatments on it. And it was just so sad.
That's like a body's dysmorphia there, where
Right.
when they look in the mirror, they don't even see. It's like when they look in the mirror, it's like a circus mirror to them. Something's just totally off from what
They're not
everybody
looking at
else
a human
sees.
being, they're looking for flaws in that
Looking for flaws, and they
object.
see them.
Yeah, they're not being objectified, they objectify themselves.
Wow. And they exaggerate those flaws to a
Yeah.
point where the drastic measures they take.
Right, right.
We've all seen where plastic surgery has been really well done. And I've got nothing. If you want to take a year or two off and pull the cheeks just a little bit, but boy, when you get so far, and it's not really a problem people talk about. I think we kind of ridicule it, but we don't talk about that as being a real issue. Is that something that needs to be treated with people when they start falling into that?
Yeah, I think they came out with some research about that. I think it was about 10 years ago when they made that diagnosis of the body dysmorphic dysfunction of people that are addicted to their mirror, and every single cell in their body, every hair on their head, every shade of their skin, it's just it's truly an addiction, in my opinion. But I think just about all mental disorders are addictions also.
Now, being in a clinical profession, and you are connected to the medical profession. I mean, there's a lot of connection between the two. Uh, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, because this could be a really touchy question. I have very strong opinions about doctors who keep doing these unnecessary surgeries just to get a paycheck. If somebody wants to give me, $50,000 for a new nose, and there's absolutely no godly reason why they need a new nose, or it's getting so bad, like you said with Michael Jackson, where it's like you're creating more of a problem than you're not solving anything. You're not even changing his look anymore. Now it's becoming cartoonish, and it's becoming a non-functioning nose.
Right. Right.
Do they hold some responsibility? I mean, in that, how do you feel about that? And I don't want to put you in a tough position with that.
Well, I think that, you can take Joan Rivers too, who ultimately died during anesthesia with her umpteenth, plastic surgery. Those are two very extreme examples of people that we know of because they're celebrities or they were celebrities. But of course, doctors are responsible. I don't know what's going on there. Did they forget? Did they not look at the chart? Do they not know how many times they've done something with someone? Are they not aware of the effects of anesthesia on the brain as someone gets older?
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. I don't know those answers. They do get sued when someone dies.
Yeah.
So that's the wake up call. But it seems like there would be some limits on how frequently someone could do something.
I
And
understand.
and also maybe even limits on, I guess these people, probably Michael Jackson will pay anybody who will do it. There's people
Yeah.
on the black market too, not just certified and licensed physicians. So
We got some friends here with us, Donna. Lynn Serrano saying hello, beautiful people. Debbie Bettendorf saying hello. Yes, being real is important. There's an agreement there. Debbie says the inner work is the most important to help with all outside relationships. Absolutely.
yeah, the most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself.
Yes. And without that relationship, you can't really have any other real fulfilling relationships. She's also admitting she loves to eat peanut butter off a spoon. I mean, I think
It's so good.
and hello from Rexburg. That's the housing development I live in. Is I guess my people there are watching.
Oh, nice.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, this is all really. You don't have if you don't like something, change is always okay. It's okay to change.
Well,
But
we could segue here into gratitude.
yeah,
Rather than looking at the parts of my body or face or colors of my eyes or whatever that I don't like, I could be grateful that I'm alive, that I'm healthy, that I'm functioning, and shift my perception into how to keep myself emotionally and physically fit. Not
right,
perfect, but fit.
right,
And to be grateful that that I have ears that can hear and eyes that can see and love in my life and all the millions of things around me right now. If I sat there and focused on every single one of them, the palm trees and the lamp and the sky and the clouds and the boat and the floor and the ceiling. I mean, all these things are gifts. They're all gifts.
right.
And so there's so
Absolutely.
much to be grateful for.
And with Thanksgiving coming up in just I guess about 8 days from now, which is a reminder we won't be live next week because we'll be prepping for Thanksgiving. I cook at my house, so the day before I'm getting my stuffings and my turkey and all that stuff all ready to go.
Do
I'm
you have
actually
people
doing.
over?
Yeah. I have. I have Karen come over. My mom comes over. My cousin comes over. I got people coming over, and there's always a couple of
Nice.
stragglers, people that don't have some place to go. And I just love to cook. My kids are spread out all over the country, so and traveling on a holiday is like one of the worst nightmares ever. It's better for me to wait a few weeks and go up there and have Thanksgiving dinner with them on a day off of Thanksgiving than
Or a
to.
holiday meal in between.
Yeah, it's just crazy, but But
So
yeah,
so you're
I'm looking forward to
grateful
that.
to be able to cook the food and to have people over and to foster those relationships in loving ways and
Absolutely. I'm always grateful when I get to feed people, whether it's emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, or physically feed them food. It really it lends itself to kind of that service to people, the more I give to other people, the more grateful I am for what I have. The less I give to other people, the more stingy I become and the more I want. So it's almost the secret of having more things is to give more things away. I'm not sure if that makes sense how I'm putting it. And there's a lot of gratitude in that.
well, you're saying to what the Course in Miracles teaches to have, share.
Yes,
Good.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's in that sharing that you find your gratitude and stuff.
Hmm.
And it's not so much, I'm so glad I have all this for me. It's, I'm so glad I have all this to share. And
Yes.
that's a form of gratitude that really elevates people. And I've tried to be living in that as much as I can these days. And it's just one way to look at things beyond certainly I'm grateful, to have a house and to have all those things. And those are moments when I can just look around and say, this is nice. But those real moments come and Donna, your business is all about helping people. Those real
Yes,
moments.
well, I love the field that I've worked in my entire adult career. I've done a lot of things, waitressing and secretaries and stuff like that to get to through college and all. But um, I love my career. It has its challenges because you're talking about relationships like any other relationships. They don't just run 100% smooth. People that make agreements and they don't want to keep them. So, when they're in, this therapy, it's no different, like, oh, I can't come in today. Well, you've agreed that you would or pay for it. Well, I don't want to do either.
Jeez.
But that was our agreement. So,
Yeah, yeah.
it has that side to it, which is where the real work happens when people get through those conflicts and come out on the other side. But I'm very grateful for my career, and I love, like you do, to entertain. It's to me it nurtures me. It's therapy for me that's why I do my own housework. It's therapy for me to do domestic things. I love it. I love looking up the recipes. I love trying something new every Thanksgiving. I love seeing people enjoy themselves. And,
Yeah.
I do the same thing, family, and then, widows, orphans, and children, you know. So, and lonelies, I don't
Yeah.
want anybody that I know to not have a home to spend the holiday. And that goes for Christmas too. So it gives me great joy and gratitude because what would it be for me to just be alone or just my husband and me? It wouldn't be the same. Just not
Right. I, you
sharing.
know, I,
It's wonderful.
I see gratitude as really being paramount to being happy in your life and stuff.
It is the key to happiness.
And,
Well,
it,
other
but
than forgiveness.
and there's every treatment center, they have their platitudes. You got to have your attitude of gratitude. You've got to, gratitude is an action word, but I don't think they really explain how that gratitude really manifests. It's like, listen, it's wonderful that you wake up in the morning, you write on your gratitude list, I'm grateful for the butterfly outside my window. But really look at your life and think about the things that you have taken for granted for so long. Start looking at family members that maybe you haven't given the love and respect and gratitude for that you should, and really start using those. If you want to build gratitude, start from the places where you've been missing it for a while. Start filling in those gaps in your life, and it's really important. It's so important. Yeah, I was going to say something else, and it just totally went out of my brain. Just totally, boom, it was gone.
We were talking about being the key to happiness, and it's very
Yeah,
essential. I don't know how
absolutely.
someone can just take everything for granted and not be happy and not have gratitude for what they do have. And no matter how, and I've been times in my life I was so poor, but I could still have gratitude for
Yeah,
what I did have and what I was going to have.
in
Because
some ways, life is almost simpler when you're at the bottom, when you're poor. I'm not saying I'm not, and trust me, I understand how a struggle it is to be poor. I've been there. a great deal of my life in the very poor, sections and struggling to figure out how to put food on the table and pay a bill. I get that. And I'm not saying that's an easy thing, but it's just almost a simplicity to happiness back then. The more stuff you get, the more distractions you have to take you away from some happiness sometimes, right?
Yeah, if you get pulled away. I think the key
Yeah,
is when you're staying in a state of gratitude, you're not at the effect of having to get more and more and more and more and more. And so you're happy with what you have, and more will come in its own way and in its own time without forcing it. And so I think that's a part of gratitude too, is to just know, just like I think it's in the Bible somewhere. The birds aren't, the animals and the trees aren't worried about where they're going to get their source. They just know that it'll come. And we can teach ourselves to be that way too. Otherwise, when there's a sense of lack, we can be frantic and scared and running around and creating, all this drama and tension and unnecessary interference with enjoying what we do have and knowing that more will come.
absolutely. Absolutely. I wrote down 3 words because I was thinking about Thanksgiving. Wait, before I do that, I got to ask you a question. You mentioned you did a lot of jobs before you finally found, and you love what you do now. I just got to ask, what was the worst job you ever had? I ask people this a lot because it tells you a
Yeah.
little bit about the person.
I
What was
don't
the
know.
worst?
I always equated jobs with making money. And I liked making money. So
You never had a job that was just so god awful you couldn't stand being there?
no,
Oh,
I
okay.
can't think of it. No, if I didn't like it, I probably left or got
I
fired.
I was cleaning morgues after autopsies.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and and I actually did hot tar roofing for a while too.
Oh, both of
And
those.
between the 2 of those, I'd rather do the roofing than cleaning the morgue. It was just so disturbing and horrible.
What was
Um,
horrible? I mean,
because
I have an image, but
I would have to go into the cooler with the bodies and the different things, and not all bodies are adult bodies, and that's disturbing. So there came a day one day when I dropped my mop and I said I can't be here. I can't do it because there was a little girl that came through that was the same age as my daughter at the
oh
time,
my
and I
goodness.
was like, I can't do this." So I had to transfer to another part of the hospital and started doing something else, and it all worked out fine. But that was the worst job I ever had, and so sometimes I just think back on it and say, you know what, I've made it a long way from there. So even if things aren't terrific today, I still got to have some gratitude for the journey that I've taken because I didn't stay stuck in the worst place that I ever was. So
And some
those are
people
little
do
things you can
stay
do, right?
Yeah, some people stay stuck in corporate or government or county or that's government, but stay stuck in job security and they hate what they're doing. And how can you feel gratitude when you dread going to work every day? Well, you dread going to work and you hate what you're doing because your time is up there. It's time for something else. It's time to fulfill your mission and purpose. And
And yes,
sometimes we have to have jobs we don't like to get there, but we don't have to stay there. That's where you take that leap of faith and or plan your exit strategies.
that's right. So, you government, we are speaking to all you workers at the DMV. Obviously, you've all been there way too long because you're all miserable. Uh, so with Thanksgiving coming up, I had 3 words that I wrote down, which are kind of 3 things that I want to focus on for me. I like to focus on during the week of Thanksgiving because it's just a reminder. It's like this is the time of year to really recharge that gratitude, to really, really put thought into it, not just like a normal thing, but really heavily. Also, forgiveness and kindness. Gratitude, forgiveness, and kindness is a great time right now, this time of year, to work on that stuff and make sure that we're practicing that on a daily basis, but to really recharge it um, and have fun with family and enjoy the food and do all those things. Um, I think it's my favorite holiday, really, Donna.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, and it's certainly something I'm so excited. I've been shopping for the past week, and looking up recipes and planning menus, and making sure that people that might be alone are invited if they want to come over, and things like that. And that's what feels so nice about it, which is a little less stressful than Christmas. Although I've started doing some shopping early for the first time in my life. I think COVID and online shopping kind of changed my whole shopping experience, but it is nice. And the one thing I have to be careful of is that I don't get too much in a work mode. That's why I start early and even make some of the stuff ahead of time, put it in the refrigerator. So all I have to do is heat it up. And
Yeah.
that way I'm not like bogged down in the kitchen on Thanksgiving and tired through the rest of the day.
Well,
So
it can be stressful trying to juggle oven time between different things, and so some things, if you can make them the day before, which I do with some of the stuff I do, I make them the day before, and then I reheat them the day while the turkey's resting is a perfect time to reheat everything else.
absolutely, yes.
And you're
And,
right, it does
ask
reduce the
people,
stress.
please don't bring something that isn't prepared because I don't want to be cooking my food and yours too.
I know. People show up, say, "Could you throw this in the oven?" Like, no, I can't.
I don't want to. I don't want to think about it. I've kind of got everything, organized. One of my patients told me that the other day, and I said, "Oh, that's why I get so annoyed when that one person always brings something for me to stick in the oven."
Yeah,
Really?
exactly.
I mean, I have plenty of ovens, but they're all full.
One of the other things I love about it, it's a great time to kind of reach back into your history and bring some things. Like I think about going to when I was a little kid, going to my grandmother's and having Thanksgiving there, and there was things that they had there that I try to recreate. Not every single thing,
Like
uh,
what?
but like she always had black olives on the table.
Oh,
There was always black olives. Why? Because the kids would come and we'd put them on our fingers, and we'd run around going, "Arr, arr, 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 arr."
how cute.
But I just and to
I
this
love
day,
that. I
Donna,
have a 1-year-old, so I love that idea.
I'll sit at the Thanksgiving table even now with these big sausage fingers I got there, and I'll try to stuff an olive on there. And my mom will just laugh her ass off because that was part of what we used to do, and it was, and we also had a I forgot what they called it, the salad with the like a
Waldorf
fluff.
salad.
What?
Waldorf salad, apples and grapes and
With the whipped cream and the pudding, the pistachio,
ambrosia salad.
ambrosia
Yeah,
salad.
yeah.
And my grandmother always made that a certain way, and we try to recreate that as well. And it's just, and it's part of that. You're eating and you're in the moment, but you're also thinking back to the first time you had that. So those are great little things. Do you bring things from your past into your new stuff?
Everything.
Yeah.
My mom didn't cook. She wasn't domestic at all, but my grandmother was, and that's where I get my pleasure of domestic activities from her. But yeah, she always went all out for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I think I do everything the way she did it practically.
It's all done with love. It's all done with love, and that's what it really was all about. Did you? I remember the year I went from the kids' table to the adult table. I remember that year as being a milestone in my life.
Yeah.
And the kids' table, I think, had the same table for like 40 years. This old broken card table that was just ready to fall over at any moment, and that's where you put the kids. That made, but
Isn't it wonderful the gathering,
yes,
and to remember to come together and to be at peace and to be loving and to talk and to reminisce and to enjoy the delicious food and eat too much and take a nap and then eat some more and then have leftovers.
and by the way, people, you're not tired because of the tryptophan in the turkey. You're tired because you just ate 5 pounds of mashed potatoes and stuffing. That's why you're tired. All right. Turkey does not put you to sleep. People are so funny. They're like, I ate too much turkey. I'm tired. I'm like, you had 5 pounds of mashed potatoes on your plate. Come on.
Do you send people home with leftovers, or do you make something with the leftovers? Or
Well, the turkey carcass I keep. I let everybody take a little bit of turkey, but I keep a lot of it. Like I'll get a 22-pound or 24-pound turkey for 4 people, only
oh
because
my goodness,
I love making turkey soup the weekend after Thanksgiving. So if I take the Friday off, which sometimes I do, I will start boiling the carcass, and you cook that carcass down for a good 8 to 10 hours to really get the flavor. And then you take it, you
and you
strain
get the
it.
bone broth too, which is good for you.
You do what?
You're getting the bone broth, which is a whole new
Oh,
thing now of, how good it is for you.
and it's so good. Absolutely. Cooking that broth down, you can't get that from a broth that you buy at a store. You got to create that. And then you start adding the lettuce, or not the lettuce, sorry, the celery and the other pieces and the carrots. And I create a turkey soup every year, and that gets
You put
distributed.
rice in it?
I never put rice directly in the soup, and I'll tell you why, because the starchiness will permeate the soup, so it doesn't stay good for more than a couple of days.
So you
You
make
keep
some rice
you
and
make
put
the
it in
rice, you keep it separate. You put the rice in the bowl, and then you pour the soup over it, and it's much better. Just a little trick for all you people out there who want to cook. Don't put the rice directly or the pasta directly in the soup. Cook that separately, add it, and then pour the soup over the top. Your soup will stay longer, better.
And that's, not the pasta, but the rice. That's a very nutritious meal that you just described. Homemade turkey broth and vegetables and turkey and over rice is very nutritious.
Well, this year I will be doing it with cauliflower rice.
Mm-hmm.
And the cauliflower rice, if you cook the actual cauliflower rice with a little bit of chicken stock in it or something, it'll take on a little bit more flavor, because rice, which you think has no flavor, has a whole lot more flavor than cauliflower rice. Cauliflower rice is very bland, but seasoning is your friend. So cook it with a little bit.
In it.
Yeah, exactly. A touch of salt, touch of pepper. It goes a long way.
It's
But
good.
yeah, I'm looking
Another
forward to
thing
making
that I
my.
do instead of I won't do it this Thanksgiving. I have in the past, but it's more work. But to take parsnips and mash them, because they're really healthy.
See, now
Really
I
healthy.
what does a parsnip taste like when you mash it? Does it taste like a
It
mashed
tastes like a
potato?
sweet. It's kind of like it has a little bit of that wild flavor to it, but it tastes like a sweet white potato
Really?
with a little, earthiness to it.
Oh,
More earthy than a regular potato for sure.
that sounds pretty good.
It's very good.
There's one moment during every Thanksgiving meal where I break down, and I always, since I carve the turkey, I always make sure that there's a good piece of turkey skin for me, because I love the turkey skin.
Oh, so good.
And I'll take the piece of turkey skin, I'll put a little piece of turkey in there, I'll put some mashed potatoes, some stuffing, some cranberries, and a little bit of gravy, and I'll fold it like a taco and eat it.
Oh,
And
that's interesting. That's my favorite leftover, is to have a turkey sandwich with stuffing and cranberry sauce in it. I love it.
oh, the cranberry sauce is the key to making that sandwich really good, because
And
that
I get
tanginess.
all cranberries. I make it with orange juice instead of sugar, and it's good.
Oh, is that what you do? Do you make the whole cranberries?
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, I've done that before, but everybody misses the can shape. And the shape of the
Tradition, right?
it's like, yes, and it's like eating jelly, but it's just something about having it in the shape of that can
Oh,
with
sure.
the perfect slices.
Yeah.
People really like that, but
Yeah.
just talking about it brings me joy.
Yes.
And it makes me grateful that I can have these things, that I can do
Right.
these things.
And
And
will people be seeing you for the first time since you've lost weight?
no, actually, everybody's really close by. So I'm not really. Actually, I'm going somewhere tonight where I haven't seen people in a couple of months. So maybe they might notice, because I think I am thinning out. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Are people supportive of you?
oh, of course, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because you get some
Well,
people
there's
say,
usually
"Oh,
a saboteur in the mix, so that's why I
well."
was asking.
I think the saboteur is the people who are just like, "Oh, you don't need to. You look fine. You don't have to do that." And it's just because they don't want to say, "Yeah, well, you really could use it." Hey, listen, I'm telling you, I need this. So it's okay if you agree with me. It's okay. I'm not going to get mad at you if you agree with me about something. If I say to you, my hair's a mess, and you say, yeah, it is a little messy, I really should not be mad at you, because you're agreeing with me. So don't worry about it.
Well, I know sometimes it makes people feel uncomfortable when someone does something positive.
Yes. I think maybe because it makes them think, what should I be doing? I've got nothing new to report. I haven't made a change in 17 years. I don't know. And people do get weird about that when you are moving into change and moving with things, because there are a whole lot of people that stand still in their life. I am grateful I'm not one of those. I am grateful that I'm not a standstill person. Um, you
You
know,
just seem so much more animated and energetic. That's and happier.
I really am. I
I
really
mean, I
am.
haven't seen you in person since this started. I can tell on the video that you've trimmed down a lot, but
Well, I
I'm
appreciate
sure
that.
in person it's even more obvious.
Well, I'm trimmed down in a lot of areas, except for my gut, which is the last thing to go. That's where exercise was about using different muscles and stuff. But you know how it is. And uh, my wife who passed used to have a problem with her she'd start to get chunky in her thighs, and so she'd try to diet a little bit and exercise, and her arms would get thin, and her ankles would get thin, and everything would get thin except for her thighs. That was the last thing to shrink. I think it's just some sort of thing where it's like the thing that bothers you the most is the thing that's going to be the last thing to change. How's that? I don't know
Well,
if there's
if it were so easy, it'd be just easy to put it back on. So,
that's true. That is true. And I like the idea.
and
I
the
hope
skin, has to get its elasticity back too, and get, like having a
that's
baby.
true.
It just takes time for things to go back to where they belong.
So I'm changing belt sizes, but I still got a gut. But the gut isn't flabby; it's hard now. So it's like
Wow.
the flabbiness is gone, but it's hard, but it's still big. So it's going to start, and I'm feeling good. I got more energy.
That's very obvious. And
I'm
you
sleeping
seem
a little
happy.
better at night. I'm sleeping a little better at night. Um, I can focus better. I can focus better. When you have bad food in you and an improper diet, I, again, I'm never going to turn down a slice of birthday cake, but I won't sit and eat 4 slices anymore, and I won't do that. I'm never going to stop eating pizza, but I can't order a whole pizza and eat it myself anymore. I go out, have 1 or 2 slices, and then that's it, but not do that every day either. So there's things, but it's about I want to adopt a healthy lifestyle. I don't want to go on a diet. I don't want to be dieting. I just want a different lifestyle that I
Not
can just move
substituting food for love
completely into.
anymore.
What's that?
You're not substituting food for love anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And because there is no food. I don't care. I don't care how much you like chocolate. Chocolate is not love, people. I hate chocolate, so that's fine. For me, salt is love. The saltier, the better. Which would explain a couple of my marriages.
Oh, funny.
But I'm looking forward to this week. I hope everyone else is too. Like, we will not be on next Wednesday, but we'll be back the Wednesday afterwards. So I will.
If you are feeling lonely or alone, there are so many things you can do to connect. You could prepare a meal, invite some people over. You could look in your own immediate neighborhood and see if there's somebody that you could run an errand for, or bring some food to, or do something for. You can volunteer. There's food kitchens. I mean, there's so many things that you can do to tap into gratitude. So
Yeah.
don't be a victim and sit alone and watch everybody else having a wonderful time, which, I read something recently. You're never going to be happier. You're never going to be happy if the people that you think are happier than you really aren't.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I can't remember, if it was a Roosevelt or Socrates or whatever, but it was one of the masters, I could probably find it. In fact, I could find it because it's one of the books I'm reading. It was quoted. But anyhow, do something that will make someone else feel grateful, and you'll be grateful too. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
To have it, give it.
Absolutely. And treat yourself well. Treat yourself well. Don't overwhelm yourself with things that you don't have to do all the time. Sometimes it's okay to just to sit and be silent, sit and read a book, do a crossword puzzle, take a walk by yourself, have those moments, and learn to enjoy those moments.
Me time is important.
Yeah, it's very important. And I know sometimes early in recovery for people, that me time is just a open space for the voices to start going. Well, voices can be drowned out very easily by activity. Sitting and staring at a wall is not really probably very good me time for somebody in early recovery. But going to the gym, or picking up and learning to play guitar or play piano, or writing your story. Doing those kind of things can be really, really good for you, and it gives you a time by yourself. I also wanted to mention that Donnie said that you could do things if you don't have some place to go. You can invite people over. You could do certain things. Also, if you are in recovery, I know most clubhouses in your area, if you check them out, usually have a round robin of meetings where it's almost like every hour on the hour they do a meeting during holidays.
In West Palm Beach, our clubhouses, at least one of them has big turkey dinners too.
Right. A lot of them will do that. But definitely if you're feeling lonely, I know on all major holidays, most clubhouses will have round the clock meetings going.
Absolutely. I
So
know they
check
do
your
Christmas, New
clubhouses.
Year's. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's good. And you can also find, people to do things with too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because you get together there, you sit through a meeting and you got a bunch of guys or girls or whoever you're with there, and they're like, well, we really got no place to go. It's like, fine, let's
all get together.
get together.
What do you want to bring?
Let's go get some Chinese food for Thanksgiving, whatever it is. I mean,
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
But
I remember my first, and I know we have to stop, but I remember my first sober Christmas, and I was dreading it because I was always so family orientated. There was no one really around. I was alone, and I was going to be turning over my son to the dad. And I just remember that this fear consuming me of how it was going to be. And I'm like, you know what? That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to light candles. I'm going to read some spiritual things. I'm going to do some of those meetings. And I had one of the best Christmases ever all by myself, and also
Really?
with meetings. So I think it's our attitude, because I could have easily been in the real pity party that first Christmas, 6 months sober, all alone. But I chose not to be. And it was really very nice. My higher power really filled me with the Holy Spirit and with the true meaning of Christmas.
The funny thing is, Donna, my first Christmas sober, I was surrounded by tons of people, and I was miserable. I almost would have preferred that quietness, because sometimes that's what we need more than anything else.
Right.
Is that quiet calmness, just to
Right.
sit and be cool and
Right.
look at Christmas
Exactly.
lights or something. But I was around so many people, and they were so freaking happy that I wanted to kill every one of them. But I didn't. I didn't do that. I survived the holiday, and now I love being around people. And I want to thank everybody who's been joining us and watching us and sharing this podcast. Remind you that please share this with your friends. And we're going to be off next week for Thanksgiving. We'll be back on the 30th. We're good on the 30th with you, Donna?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So we'll be back, and then we're going to, I promise you, because I think we've teased relationships like 6 times. I promise you, on the 30th, we're going to go into relationships and addiction and mental health.
And everybody should be thinking about what they want to contribute or ask.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, what we'll do is next week I'll put a little ad out to remind people that show's coming and remind them to participate and join us.
Wonderful.
So we'll do that ahead of time. As always, Donna, absolute, just a blast doing the show with you. I wish there was a way I could send you a few samples of my turkey dinner. You could send me a few samples of yours, but the U.S. mail does not work well enough that everything would look like the green fluff when
If
you
we
got
didn't
it.
live so far apart, we could combine, but
Really.
that'd be fun.
I think my star this year is going to be my oyster stuffing. It's going to be my
Ooh.
star this year.
Yay.
So I'm looking forward to making that.
I bet.
But as always, I'm grateful for your friendship and the show and everything else. So,
Me too, Scott.
I want to thank everybody for joining us. And any final thoughts on wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving, Donna?
Just to be grateful, and if you feel like you're lacking something, give it to someone else, and then you'll have it.
Can't say it better than that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a great holiday. We'll catch you next time right here on Exit the Maze podcast.